guys, welcome back to New Day Vlogs. Today is actually Sunday, February 3rd. Happy February, and I hope that you guys have all had a wonderful New Year so far. Wanted to get on here and do a little recap of what's been going on throughout the whole month of January, where I've been, what's delayed me on making videos. So this video is going to be a catch-up video. I'm also going to insert some video footage that I filmed in January in regards to our kitchen renovation. And I've got a lot of explaining to do in regards to it. So let's get started. Okay, first of all, we did not have a very good January starting out. The whole month of January was pretty much chaotic and just overwhelmingly sad and frustrating. I mean, it was just a bad start to the year. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to try to make it as short as I can without being on here making an hour-long video. I know that sometimes these chatty catch-up videos can be a little bit longer, so I'm going to try to cut the stories back as short as possible throughout this video. January 1st, New Year's Day, started out with my husband's wonderful uncle, Paul, passing away. He was such a dear, close relative to my husband. They were best friends. He was my husband's best man at our wedding. And unfortunately, he passed away on January the 1st of cancer. He had been battling cancer for several years, and it came back, I think, a couple of years ago. He was in remission for a few years, and then it came back. And when it did, it came back with a really bad vengeance, and unfortunately, he lost his battle to it on the 1st. Now, he lost his battle down here on earth, but of course, his soul is now residing in heaven with God, and I know he's healthy and happy again, and with all of our other loved ones up there, so we are glad that he is not suffering anymore, but we definitely miss him tremendously because he was a light in all of our lives. So that started off the year kind of just not so great. And as you all know, we were getting ready to start working on getting our new countertops installed. If you guys haven't seen our previous videos, then if you look back at those videos, you can actually see this granite sample that we picked out. We went through a couple of different countertop companies. We were originally looking at quartz, and we found a quartz piece that we really liked, but then we realized that it wasn't the best quality. I don't know if it was just that particular brand or company that made it, I'm not sure, but you know, if you put any type of little stain on there, like, you know, hot sauce or anything like that, it's stained, which quartz should not stain. It should be very durable. So after that happening, we were kind of paranoid to go with that company. So then we drove to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we picked out granite. We actually decided to go with granite. We looked all over their warehouse. They had a huge supply of granite and quartz and marble, and you know, in the past we've had granite. We're familiar with it, and so we just decided that we wanted to go with granite more so than quartz. So we ended up picking a granite, and the next step was to actually find a supplier to install it. We picked a company that we thought was awesome. They had really good ratings, really good reviews. They've been around for a while, and we chose them. The countertops were supposed to be installed on the 10th of January. The guys came out, they got here on time that morning. They got started, first of all, ripping out our old tile countertops. And yeah, it was, whew, you guys, what a mess it was. We had, if you have not seen my previous videos, you should check back and look at those. But we had 4x4 white square tiles, and this house was built in 1996. So all of the countertops were actually tile. And the grout was white, except it was stained, so it was kind of brownish white, like a beigey color, so it was really gross. And then the backsplash was the same type of tile, except it had fruit on it. And it wasn't like painted, it was actually on the tile. So we just did not want that. That was not my style. My husband didn't care, he didn't mind it, but I particularly didn't want it in the kitchen. I thought it was kind of ugly. Sorry to those out there who love fruit backsplash. I don't mean to offend anybody, but it just wasn't our cup of tea. The guys came and they actually removed all of the old countertops. We had already removed the tile backsplash, and I'll go ahead and insert a clip of that here. So yeah, Josh went ahead and he worked really hard and took out all the old backsplash and then added new sheetrock to it. It was stuck on there so well, you guys, that we ended up having to cut through the sheetrock and just remove big chunks of sheetrock, and that was the easier way to go about it. And then the next day the guys came in and they started working on removing the countertops. So with that being said, the day started out great on the 10th. They got here, they started working. They had all the demolition done as far as the countertops removed by, I think it was around like 12. They took a lunch break, went to lunch, and then they came back to get ready to start, you know, cleaning up and adding support braces for the cast iron sink that I purchased, and then to install the countertops. And that's when all chaos broke loose, you guys. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. So what was supposed to be a simple day turned out to be a nightmare. Let's go back just a little bit. If you guys watched the actual house tours that I posted back in, I think in November, October of last year, you can see that we actually had our hardwood floors resanded and refinished. I had them stained a new color, and they went from the dining room through the living room through the kitchen. I mean, we have an open concept house, and so they just flowed beautifully throughout the whole house, and they looked great. So anyway, the day that when they got back from lunch that day to get ready to do the install of everything and get ready to, you know, get the braces put on for the sink, the guy didn't actually, one of the workers did not actually screw the wood down properly to the back of the sink to support the cast iron weight. And upon not doing so, he set his drill on top of the 2x4, which collapsed it, and it broke our water pipe in the kitchen under the sink. So I know that this is gonna sound crazy, but no, I did not actually know where my shutoff valve was, because we just bought the house in October and there are a million different shutoff valves for different things. And I know that sounds stupid, we probably should have known that. But regardless of the fact, the shutoff valve and everything got broken at the sink. And then the house was flooding, like water was just gushing everywhere. And it actually was so bad, it went downstairs into my husband's office and was flooding out his office. I was running all over the place. The guy was being very unprofessional. I know he was freaking out because we all were, and he was cussing, and you know, it was making it even more stressful in the situation. So anyways, we were looking for the shutoff valve while the other worker was trying to hold the water in a bucket, and that bucket kept getting filled up, and then we'd have to keep running back and pouring it out, replacing a new bucket. And in the process, the bucket started overflowing and water was going all over the hardwood floors that we just had finished. So yeah, it pretty much ruined our hardwood floors. We did find the shutoff valve. It took us several minutes because this is a pretty big house. And so we found it, but the damage was done. So that night, the guys didn't actually get the countertops installed. They did install the first part of the kitchen near the living room. Half of the kitchen got destroyed. The floor was completely ruined. There was no fixing it. So we did have half our countertops in for the week. They did cap off the sink because we were gonna have to wait another week for them to come back out and fix everything and make it right. So we were without a kitchen we had no stove, we had no kitchen sink. So we were without pretty much a working, functioning kitchen for at least a week. And then once they did come out the next week, they sent a guy to get started on working on my husband's office. Now let me just back up a little bit. I know I'm kind of skipping all around right now, but during the whole flooding process of the house and trying to find the shutoff valve, when I went downstairs before I knew that my husband's office was getting flooded, it sounded like a waterfall was running downstairs. And when I opened his door to his office, the ceiling had collapsed inward and water was running down on his desk, onto his computers, onto memorabilia that he had been passed down from his family from generation to generation that was destroyed, and flooding out the carpet and the floor downstairs. I mean, it was awful, you guys. It was such a mess. So not only did our kitchen get destroyed, but my husband's office absolutely got destroyed. The bathroom downstairs next to his office got destroyed. The ceiling came through that as well. And yeah, all that had to be replaced. So anyway, they sent a worker out, I think on the 12th, to get started on fixing my husband's office space first. They ended up having to rip out all of the carpet in his office and tear out the padding for the carpet. And it was really nice, expensive carpet. So luckily we were able to save the carpet and just dry it out. But we were not able to save the tack strips. We weren't able to save the padding. I mean, the insulation in the ceiling had to be replaced. All the ceiling tiles in his office had to be replaced. So yeah, that was a big mess. And then of course the computers and stuff also had to be replaced. So after all was done, he finished working on getting everything dried out that day. He came back on Monday, I think that was the 14th, and worked on getting everything put back together. The next step was for him to come back and work on the upstairs and work on, and this is a different worker. This is not the same guys that caused the damage. This is another worker. The next day he was supposed to come back and work on putting the kitchen pipes back together since they had burst. And one thing that we found out that day is the workers who caused all the destruction of our house, they took our old kitchen sink out and they took it out to the front porch and set it outside while they were trying to clean up their mess and everything. So when the other worker came to work on putting the sink pipes back together, we realized that our really nice, it was probably about a $300 faucet, chrome faucet that I absolutely loved. I wanted to reuse it, the one that we used to have in the kitchen. They didn't drain the water out of it. They left it outside. It got really cold that week and it broke our faucet. And unfortunately, we could not find a replacement faucet at all to match that particular faucet. So we ended up having to get a different faucet. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I would have chose for myself, but they replaced it as close as they could to the one that we actually had. And they couldn't find it in the chrome finish that I wanted. So unfortunately, it's not ugly. It's just not as good of quality, and it's in satin nickel, which is fine. It just doesn't match the other fixtures in the house, which I kind of like everything to match. So anyway, to make a long story short, the guy couldn't get he got the pipes done under the sink, and unfortunately, he didn't really know much about what he was doing, and so all of them kept leaking. We couldn't figure out why they kept leaking. And then we had to wait for several more days before he actually came back out to give us the new faucet because the old one was broke. So I ended up having to meet up with him to get the faucet, and we just decided we were going to install it ourselves once the countertops and stuff had gone in. Once he got done with everything that he needed to get done with, and for the most part, he did a great job on everything else except for the kitchen pipe. But the workers that actually caused all the damage had to come back out and start demolition on the floors. So the whole week was pretty much just, it was the week of the 14th of January, was pretty much demolizing all of the floors, the hardwood. It was so heartbreaking to see solid oak floors being ripped out because they buckled. They literally cupped, you guys. I mean, it was just, oh, it was so sad to see because they were in such beautiful shape after they were refinished. So we had an option to go with resanding the floors again or getting tile. In order to get the floors resanded, like I did back in October of last year, I had to I had to take the dogs and we had to leave for 5 days so they could sand the floors, restain them, and put, I think I paid for 3 or 4 coats of clear coats to be put on them just for extra protection. And so we ended up renting a hotel room. We had to move all the furniture out. I mean, it was a process thing. Everything was covered in dust. So yeah, it was a process. I decided I didn't want to go through that whole process again. And I was also scared that if we were to resand the floors again in the kitchen, that we would not, that if we ever had another leak, it could possibly do the same exact damage. Like if an appliance ever leaked and broke, then it would completely do the same thing all over again with the floors and, you know, kind of like buckle or cup the floors. So we decided that we were not gonna do hardwood in the kitchen. We were gonna actually do tile, which honestly is a better choice for a kitchen in my personal opinion. So we did tile. We decided to go with tile. They also, this granite company had a tile showroom. So they would not let us choose who we wanted to do the tile. They wouldn't let us choose the company. They, in order for them to replace anything, any damage they caused, they would either do the work themselves or they would actually give us a credit. When we asked about the credit, because we had our flooring guy come back out to, you know, inspect the damage the Saturday after it happened, and there was so much moisture in it, he actually quoted us how much he would charge to fix all of the damage and stuff. That quote was around $3,600 because the wood had to be, some of the wood, half the wood in the kitchen had to be replaced if we chose to resand it, and then it had to be restained, and then because it's all open concept in the house, the whole living room, kitchen, and dining room would have had to have been sanded and redone so that you didn't see a cutoff line of the sheens of top coat. I hope that makes sense. I'm not very good at explaining this flooring situation. But anyway, so we told the guy at the granite company the actual quotes that we were given, how much it was going to cost for our guys to fix this. If we chose to do wood. And we also got a tile quote from our flooring guy that did our floors originally. And for some reason, the guy really didn't want us to go with anybody else but their company, the person that did all the damage, their company. And so he underquoted. He said that he could do the work cheaper, and that if he used his own guys, he could do the work cheaper and do just as good of a job. And if we chose not to do that, then we would go with, he would give us a credit, but it wouldn't be for the same amount as the worker that we had chose, because he already had a team that could do the work cheaper. So it was really becoming a pain to try to get our own worker to do it. I mean, yeah, it was becoming a nightmare. So the guy was argumentative. It was very kind of unnerving, I guess is the best word to say. So we just decided, okay, we'll let them fix it, and if they screw anything up, we're gonna turn it against their insurance company. So anyway, we decided to go with tile. We went to the showroom. I picked out the tile that I wanted in the kitchen. I still think it's beautiful. It really and truly is. The granite guys came out, the ones that caused the mess, and they tore out all the hardwood floor. The next day we had to get the guys from the flooring tile guys to come out, which is another completely set of different workers. And then they started removing the remainder 3-inch wood that was around the cabinets and stuff. They got all of that out. They swept, they cleaned up, and then they started laying the tile. The tile process took 2 days, and so it looked great. It looks beautiful. They packed up their stuff, they left a mess outside, they didn't clean it up, so I was very upset about that. They were actually wanting to leave all the debris, the tile guys were wanting to leave all of the debris for us to get rid of. Yeah, can you believe that crap? They wanted us to haul off all the debris of broken tile and wood that they had taken off the floor, and I said, absolutely not, you guys need to take this and throw it away. When they left, the floor looked absolutely stunning, but I realized that after they left, they had left a bag of grout, and I realized that on the grout that they used, there was no sealer in it. I did not see them mix any sealer in it as well. So I called the company back, the owner at the company, and I asked him, you know, I let them know that they didn't add any sealer to it, and asked them, you know, if he could talk to his workers to see what they could do about it, and he said he would, and I never heard back from him. Never. They never came back to install the rest of the baseboard molding that they took off. They didn't install the shoe molding that they broke off. They brought it out here and they left it, but they never actually refinished putting it back in. They didn't seal the grout. I had to do that myself. Sorry, you guys, my dogs are on the back porch and were barking, so I had to go out there and see what was going on and investigate. Anyway, so that is the nightmare story that we had to endure from our kitchen renovation. Something so simple, it was just getting countertops installed, and something that we have been looking forward to for such a long time turned out to be probably the worst renovation process I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm definitely glad it's over with. I will never, ever, ever recommend the company that we went with. I will not name any names on here, but it was terrible. I mean, it was absolutely just horrendous. That was the whole middle part of January, and then on January the 19th, it's kind of hard to talk about, but I'm gonna try to get through it. My Uncle Larry, who lives with my aunt, they live about 45 minutes away from me. I had called him on a Saturday morning. He's been really sick over the past several years with COPD, stage 4. And I had called him to check on him, to say hello, and ask him, I'm like, you know, how are you doing? And he sounded just like himself, but he had been having heartburn for several days. My aunt had offered to take him to the hospital, but he didn't feel like it was necessary because it was just heartburn. But so far he told me that, you know, any symptoms he was having, he couldn't get rid of them no matter what he took, you know. So throughout the conversation, we just kind of briefly spoke, and I was giving him some medication ideas, over-the-counter medication ideas of stuff that might be able to help that he hadn't tried yet. My aunt was going to go to the store and pick up some stuff, and I heard her leave while I was talking to him on the phone. And I got off the phone with him, you know, I told him that I loved him, and he said he loved me, and he hung up, and she went to the store to get him stuff, and when she came back, he had died. He had passed away. So it was just kind of like, it was just shock, you know, because I just talked to him and hung up the phone, and he was gone. And so it was just amazing to me, you know, how we could be here one minute and gone the next. We've had a lot of death in our family, me and Josh, over the past 2 years, less than 2 years. I lost my mom back in 2017 of cancer. She was diagnosed in 2016 of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer, and then she passed away in April of 2017. So we lost her to cancer. And then my Uncle Mike, who I was exceptionally close with, he was so sweet growing up. He was like a brother to me. He was autistic and the best soul you've ever met. I mean, such a sweetheart. And I lost him back in July of this year to heart failure brought on by diabetes. And so that was heartbreaking itself. And then Josh lost his Uncle Paul on the 1st of January to cancer. And then Uncle Larry passed away on the 19th of January to a massive heart attack. So we found that out. They did the ambulance came and they tried to do CPR, and my aunt tried to revive him before they got there, and he was gone. I mean, just like that, he was gone. So our world got turned upside down once again. And so we spent that week planning out his cremation and obituary and just all that stuff, and then just spending time with our family, trying to, you know, cope with another loss. And then 2 days later, Josh's grandpa died. And he had had a long battle with illness as well. And he was 83 and he's such a sweet man. And then he ended up dying on the 21st of January. So you guys, we have had a terrible, absolutely horrible January, first start to the year. You know, it's heartbreaking that we've lost so many loved ones, and it seems like you can't really ever get through one grief process, it seems here lately, without someone else passing away, you know, and then you start all over again when you haven't really gotten past the grief process of the other ones that have passed away. So it's been a horrible year. We've lost, between Josh and I, we've lost 5 family members in less than 2 years. Less than 2 years, you guys. Because my mom went first and she passed away on the 11th of April of 2017, and her 2-year anniversary in heaven is coming up on the 11th of April of this year. And so in between there, I've lost 2 more family members, and then Josh has lost 2. So it's been a hard 2 years. I'm really hoping that the rest of this year gets better, because I don't want to have any more devastation like we've had over the past couple of years. I'm glad our kitchen is back in order. I'm absolutely excited about that. And the only thing that I've got left to do in this kitchen, so that I can get off this really sad topic of our family loss, I need to go and seal the tile floors once again, because they never actually sealed them. They never came back out to seal them, and I just didn't want to deal with the company anymore. So I've decided I'm just going to do it myself. I put one coat on last weekend, so I'm going to do another coat possibly sometime this week. My dad, he's over at my aunt's house, and he's spending the week with her. So this week I'm actually motivated to get that sealer put on so that I can mop and get everything finalized. Down the road, I want to take all the knobs off of our kitchen cabinets, and I want to go ahead and spray paint those. I'm going to reuse the same ones because kitchen knobs are expensive, and this is a pretty big kitchen, and we have a lot of kitchen knobs, and why not use the same ones that we've got? I just don't like the brass color on them. So I'm going to probably either spray paint them like a, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like a hammered effect, like a, it's by Rust-Oleum, and it's like a hammered effect. So I'm going to spray paint them either a oil rubbed bronze or possibly a silver. I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you know when I do that. And then the other thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that I'm going to be getting started painting the living room this week while Dad's out of town. The living room, it kind of flows into the kitchen. I've got the paint, I just need to get started, so I'm going to film that. I don't know if you can see me. I don't know if you can see behind me right here, but right here, this is the color next to the refrigerator that I'm actually going to be doing the whole living room and the whole kitchen. So I think it's gonna look really good. I'm ready to get rid of the yellow that's on the walls and kind of make everything more neutral so everything matches. And then I can start decorating and being prepared for the summer. I've got a lot of paint projects coming up, and I do intend on filming those for you guys. So yes. I am going to show you guys a kitchen tour in the next video. I'll probably do that before I start working on painting the living room. Right now, I've still got stuff everywhere where I've been kind of wiping out the cabinets because there was so much dust and debris from just, you know, the general construction of the kitchen. So I will be filming a video tour of the kitchen now that it's all said and done. There is a project though that I did not work on, that I have not done yet, and when I show you guys the kitchen renovation tour, I will get your opinions on it later. So I'll get your opinions on it then, and you can give me your ideas and your thoughts. But that's it. That has been our terrible January. That's been an update on where we've been, what's been going on. So yeah, I ask that you say a prayer for our family, Josh's family as well, because of all the loss and devastation of losing loved ones that we've had to go through and that we're just now going through again. So if you don't mind to say a prayer for us, that would be wonderful. And then, yeah, I hope that you guys are having a wonderful year so far. By the way, you guys, if you didn't see it, the groundhog did not see its shadow. I don't know if you guys believe in all of that, but Puxatawny Phil, he did not see his shadow, so we are supposed to get an early spring. I hope so. I'm ready for spring to get here. I'm ready to be outside and enjoying some fresh air, working in the garden, flowering, or putting new flowers in, and just enjoying, you know, being outside. So I'm glad he didn't see it. But yeah. All right, you guys, I'm going to end the vlog here on that note. I hope that you've enjoyed this footage, and if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. And if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. I hope that you'll subscribe and be a part of my YouTube family. And I love you guys, and I'll see you soon in the next video. You guys take care. Bye.